Today is July 12th, 2026. My name is Charles Suter, and today I'm going to be talking to you about the theory and practice of quitting. I have a reference book for you, The Art of Quitting by Evan Harris. My main message is that you only have so much time in this lifetime of yours, so it would be advantageous for you to quit early and to quit often, especially those activities that have ceased to give you value. Now, growing up, your parents and significant others might have advised you to never give up. Quitting was considered a sign of weakness and discouraged. Quitting is usually seen as the option of last resort when you reach the bottom and you just can't take it anymore. However, the modern way to view quitting is quite different and based upon a healthy respect for your goals, aspiration, and ambitions. Anything that takes up your time, effort, and resources is a candidate for quitting if you're not being sufficiently rewarded. Once you quit, you can shift those precious assets to something with a better return on investment. Everything in your life is there to provide you with the reward for being alive and to make you happy. If any aspect of your life ceases to be rewarding, or worse, is causing you grief, it is a candidate for quitting, so that you can devote more of your time and effort and resources to better possibilities that might offer greater rewards. Just remember, as people grow, they tend to enter into different phases of their life, wherein some things that have been outgrown need to be replaced by what matters in the newest or the current phase. So, to replace means to quit one thing and replace it with another. Proposition number one. Everything in your life is a candidate for quitting. That includes being, which are the intangibles such as ideas, concepts, beliefs, your entire self-concept, identity, even your fantasies. Then there's the doing, the things that you do, that you use your body to create things of value. That includes your vocation, your hobbies, avocation, and all your methods, processes, habits, and routines. And finally, there are the having, your possessions. This could include people and relationships, places where you live, jobs, things, anything that you possess. Anything that you spend time, energy, and resources on being, doing, or having is a candidate to be replaced for something better. While most people don't like change, there is a time and a place for everything in your life. Everything is constantly changing, and that means moving on to what's right and appropriate for your current and future circumstances. Now, change, growth, and quitting are all part of the same genre, which are passages and transitions throughout a lifetime where the old must be replaced by the new. From birth to death, we become a different person as we traverse the cycle of life. Proposition 2. Now, I recommend that if you're going to quit, you do so for good reasons. For example, if your situation is going from bad to good, well, that's something that you want to consider if you want to improve. If you're good, look for something better. And if you're better, then look for the best. Anything you can find that improves your life is a candidate for moving towards that by quitting the old and moving towards the new. If you find you have diminished value for what you're doing or having or being, see any potential for improvement. If your life is being overcome by events and things in your past are being outgrown, consider quitting. Consider change. Sometimes when you reach the point that enough is enough, then it's time to start thinking about cutting your losses, or quit while you're ahead, or just quit to avoid future problems. Now, there's no good reason to quit something that brings your life value. However, people tend to hang on to the familiar past way too long because it gives them comfort, safety, and identity. The only thing worse than quitting too soon is quitting too late. Sometimes there's just no value in hanging in there and enduring when quitting and moving on to something better is the appropriate decision. Most people tend to know it's time to quit, to abandon the old in favor of the new. But if in doubt, take time to rationally assess your situation and determine the relative value of everything in your life relative to the value of what could be in your life, if you made room for it. Quitting the low-value things in your life provides the space for higher level things in your life. Proposition 3. Now, there are some effective ways for quitting. Now, a well-executed quit is rewarded in and of itself. Something to brag about. A decision that you made to move from one point in your life to another. Especially if it's rewarding and it opens the door for positive change and new options. One way to do that is cold turkey. You reach the last straw, you can't take it any longer, the time is right to quit. Or you can think about it and quit piecemeal. You can transition from one to another. Leave yourself a safety net. Don't burn any of your bridges. Take one step at a time. Ease your way out. And if things look better, then just keep on quitting. Sometimes quitting involves a slow, deliberate contemplation period when you know something is no longer giving you value, but nothing better is in sight. However, the more you seek, the more options you find as potential replacements. Quitting does not have to be all or nothing. Sometimes slow transitions are appropriate. Sometimes you'll reach the breaking point where you just can't stay the same and know without a doubt it's time to change. So quit without delay and without regret, and then search for a better replacement, using the time you previously spent on the old to search for the new. Now, my final message is that every desired life change means quitting one thing for another. When you begin to question the value of anything in your life, begin to focus more attention on it. Challenge yourself to evaluate the pros and cons of continuing versus quitting. The decision to quit must be done for rational and for good reasons. The process of quitting is also important. The timing, the method, the transition. So when you quit, strive to achieve a clean break without harm to yourself or others. There's an art to quitting. You need to learn how to quit effectively, honorably, and more often. So if you want to grow to become the best version of yourself, you need to start thinking about quitting more often. Well, that's all for now. Remember to stay positive. You'll be happier, healthier, and live longer.